Welcome to Killington, the beast of the east.
Killington, Vermont is no doubt one of the top places to go to for skiing, not only just in the east, but in the U.S. as a whole. However, there are things that you ought to know before you go, and these are my first impressions coming from a Midwest environment that you ought to know, especially if you plan to go. For starters, the kiosks, they are required to purchase for tickets. You have to do it in advance. The earlier you do it, the better. Discounts could be at best mediocre. Like I'd say, like during peak season, 5% discounts. But also, like even during off peaks, I've noticed they've had like their cheaper tickets come around. They are all easily north of $100, so it's not cheap by any means. And this is out east, so yeah, this is a price I would kind of expect out west in, like, for example, Oregon or wherever. But here, no, Vermont is trying to make the case for it. As for like the terrain and all that sort, I would say this: if you are a beginner, you do expect to have a lot of
skiers,
help and a lot of
novice
different
skiers
terrain that help.
and snowboarders as well, be able to navigate and not necessarily being discouraged from getting hurt and like just thinking, oh, this sport's not for me and all that. And the instructors they have, it's great and all that, but it's expensive, for really expensive, like hundreds I've seen. Greens, which is the difficulty of ski, green, blue, black, or diamond black, I should say. That's the order of all ski levels of difficulty throughout the country and the world, I think. I noticed that it was lacking a lot of that. And for those of you who are brand new to skiing and all that, I would say Killington wouldn't be the place I would recommend. There are other ones for sure, but don't get me wrong, this is a very picturesque. I would say if I were to rate this, and I'm going to give an overall rating at the end of what
Come
I
to
believe
Killington Peak
is my
if you
opinion
want to see
of this
a sunset
full
with
ski
clouds
area
below you.
mountain. But yeah, in terms of for like entry beginner level, I wouldn't recommend it, to be quite honest. It's got a bunch of diamond blacks, a bunch of blues that has a lot of moguls, which moguls, if you don't know, is skiing. It's like those mounds that skiers use to like maneuver and like all that sort. That's challenging, and if you're a snowboarder, well, you probably don't do it. So that's something that I would keep in mind and try to consider. If you're an advanced skier or a snowboarder, yeah, definitely do it. And here's another thing that brings me to my next point. It's, I think, more catered to skiing, and I don't say that really too lightly because, first of all, I noticed like a lot of the slopes, they had mounds, like I said, moguls and like uneven mounds, and it's fine and all that. But as a snowboarder, that tends to not be. That's more of a skier's type of thing to want. Another thing is that the terrain park. Yes, it's early, but to be fair, like it's December, and New England's had a lot of snow this year, 2025. They've had a ton of snow. And it surprises me that Terrain Park, for the name it is, because I think Killington, the brand kind of sells for itself. The name sells itself. I think, from what I've seen, is that the Terrain Park doesn't. It's small for what I would have thought. Yes, they have it. They have some jumps and rails here and there, and I know you shouldn't expect a half pipe this early on in the season. But let's be real here. Like, for the name and what they try and sell you, like I paid north of $200, and yes, I paid for a holiday weekend after Christmas. But like, come on, this is not out west. This ain't Colorado or Vail. And another thing that also you keep in mind, if you are a night skier, and if you like night skiing, go somewhere else because Killington does not have that. They shut at 4 p.m. You could say partly because they are in a more remote area and it gets dark. And trust me when I say this, when the snowstorms happen, you do not want to be here. You don't want to be on the road. You want to be home somewhere lodged, because yeah, it's maneuverous to say the least. It's kind of dangerous. I've seen a lot of people slip and slide and their cars like slip into valleys and crashes and all that sort. Just I wouldn't recommend driving here is just a hassle too. That's another thing. But like Killington Mountain has the infrastructure to have night skiing, I believe. I mean, they are such a huge huge ski area. They've been at this for doing this for decades. I don't see why they couldn't do it. They have Killington has the infrastructure to do it, but they just don't do it. So that perplexes me. And lastly, getting here, it's not like Summit County in Colorado where you can get to your resort. And yes, it's traffic and all that, but it's more straightforward. You're not stranded or whatever. Here, there's a bunch of more back roads and all that. And yeah, you're by Interstate 95 and all that, but like if you're coming from Boston, I wouldn't recommend it. At least I wouldn't recommend taking like the shortcut or using the navigator. Don't rely on your navigator. That's the number one thing I would say when you're coming to Killington. Don't rely on the navigator because it'll take you through back roads, and if it's snowing, man, your car, especially if it's a front wheeler. Oh yeah, don't bring a front wheel drive car, by the way. You're going to be screwed. You're going to be slipping and sliding, potentially crashing, and potentially stalling up the hills because these hills are steep. These are mountains, actually, too. So, not as high as Rockies, but yeah, this ain't your Wisconsin or Iowa bluffs, to say the least. This is the real deal. These are mountains. These are the green mountains because, well, they're green in the summer. And the state is Vermont, which is it's the green state. But yeah, this is what what I would say overall. So if I were to take everything together. Oh yeah, another thing. If you're coming here and you're expecting chain restaurants, which is a good or bad thing, some people like them, some people don't. Don't expect that because chain restaurants aren't a thing here. It's all local. Same with the hotels and hospitality. You're not going to see your Holiday Inns and all that sort. You might see something like a Comfort Inn or whatever, but that's going to be like 30 miles away. If you want to be anywhere nearly close to this place, which actually reminds me of another point I want to make, you're going to have to book something that's local. It's mom and pop, bed and breakfast, you name it. Local, which is good. It could be good. You support local businesses, but for those of you who don't rely on the brands and all that, like IHG hotels and Hilton, Marriott, all this stuff, because this is a luxury. Skiing is a luxury hobby, no doubt, and Killington is no exception to that. In fact, it's very much for much of the rich, in my opinion, or people who are well off, because $200 for a ticket or shy or north of it ain't cheap. It ain't for everyone. It just ain't. And so what I'm saying here is that with all that in mind, you have to consider you're going to be in, I wouldn't say the boonies, but it's close to that. It's it'll take if you get hurt or whatever, yeah, the ambulance will take a while to get here. Yeah. I mean, and there's plenty of them, believe me, a lot of people get hurt. But also, yeah. So if I were to factor this all in, these are my first impressions from it. If you think for example, if you're in my context, you're coming from a flatter place, like the Midwest, where it's not as dramatic, like alpine and all that sort, yeah, practicing in a place for example, Wisconsin won't help you. I learned that the hard way after a fun but challenging day on the slopes. And yes, I'm snowboarding, but yeah, this is my perspective of it. But yeah, skiing, I would say probably is a similar approach, but maybe easier because, my opinion at least, I think Killington's in many ways more catered to skiing because of those moguls and mountains that are everywhere. And it's had the culture for it. Killington's a legacy ski resort. It's been like I said, decades. And skiing's a way older sport than snowboarding. But I would say this. Yes, expect chairlifts to be functioning properly and good and all that. Expect the gondolas and all that, yeah, to be like, well, I would say you'd be sardine stuffed. That's an understatement, as you can see here. But do expect what is, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say the best in the East, because there are other places I could think of, like in Maine, in New Hampshire, that are a little tad better, and maybe New York State. But in terms of like out west and all that as well, if I were to compare to overall, I think Killington's just really sold for the brand itself. There's a lot of waiting, a lot of lines. Big mistake of me is booking a day after Christmas, but it kind of had to for logistics. But yeah, you're going to be waiting in lines oftentimes, even if you're in singles. And yeah, my biggest, like I said, if I were to say this, rate this overall, because also you do have to get a pass, like a card pass inside. I think they don't do like Epic or those like big like conglomerates like Vail Resorts and all that, where you can, or Boyne, where you can like use a pass for multiple ski destinations. I think it's independent from that, if I'm not mistaken. But overall, if I were to rate Killington, Vermont as a ski destination, I would definitely give it like probably a 6 out of 10. And the reason I say that is because the biggest killer for me is that they don't do night skiing, and for the price you pay for this, they should be able to offer it. And the fact that they have the infrastructure to do it is like, and the staff to do it too. Like, I don't get why they couldn't do it. On top of it, like, the remoteness a little bit, or the back roads to get here. It's not by an interstate or by like easy to get to, like Summit County is, with like Breckenridge, Copper, Keystone, I believe. And like Salt Lake as well, as Park City and Salt Lake are connected pretty decent, better, I believe. But yeah, I mean, but it's not as like as remote, you can say, Mammoth Mountain in California, where they just had like what I want to say like 8 feet of snow just in one shot. So yeah, glad I didn't go there. I would have wanted to, but if I couldn't survive this, if I had issues with this snowstorm here that we had in Vermont, oh my God, I couldn't imagine doing that, driving all the way from Los Angeles or Las Vegas doing to the Sierra Nevadas. Like 6 hours is crazy. But yeah, it wasn't so much. It was not too much more pleasant going from Boston to Killington, Vermont. So, like I said, the distances, it may seem the case that New England's really small, and it is. I was able to visit all 6 states in New England around 6 hours, and yeah, the last one, Vermont, was the big. That's one thing also. The distances from getting around the hills and the mountains to get in Killington within Vermont are just crazy long. You think that you're like, one of the longest miles of my life I felt was just driving around this mountain that's in Vermont, getting to Killington. I'll tell you the roads, yeah, they're like 2 lane, most of them. I mean, that's normal, but like, man, like, to get anywhere, it's just like going through round and curving here. There's no like straight lines. Like, for example, out in the Midwest, like in Chicago, like in Illinois, you get more or less, you go directly to one path, like one street, one road. It's more linear and all that. And here, obviously, it's not going to happen that way because it's mountainous, versus over there's flat. But like, man. To get anywhere, like to get from, like, for example, the ski rental I went from to the hotel, to the bed and breakfast hotel I went, it took like nearly 20 minutes. No, nearly nearly 40 minutes to get to, and it's like like 30, like something like 20 miles or something like that. And then you have a lot of people who don't know how to drive in snow that come here too, that oftentimes will crash or like slip. There'll be slippage. Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing to have to experience if you're in a valley like here. Even though it's not as steep as out west, it still is scary. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I meant the views. They were epic. I mean, that's the pros I would say out of this resort. The food is okay. I mean, I think it's more the restaurants. The food scene is more like visible, like more attractive outside of the ski area. They got lots of good restaurants. I think I went to one called The Last Resort or something like that. It's got like thousands of reviews, over a 4.5 star rating. I'd highly recommend it. Excellent meatloaf, and Brussels sprouts. Never thought I would say I love Brussels sprouts in my life, but there I did. But I would say this, like, it's just, Killington's kind of like a mixed bag. It has a lot of pros, but it has a lot of cons too. Do the pros outweigh the cons? Well, I'll leave that up to you. But for me, I believe that this place is really, what sells it is the name. The name. Kind of like when you pick a university, you apply to university, if we still do that anymore. Well, like Harvard University sells itself because of the name. So that's what I think Killington mostly is. But there are great terrains, I could say. Just most of them are like blues or diamonds, diamond blacks. And a lot of those diamond blacks and blues, well, they're not what you call the same level of difficulty. They're much more difficult, obviously, than Midwest. Like Midwest blues and blacks are basically the East's, I guess, green and blues, respectively, I believe. So that's what I would take away. But the scenes, they're awesome. It's cool to see the sunset. That's one thing I would say, if you saw in the beginning of this. The sunset is so epic with the sky and the clouds underneath you. Oh, and you see also, like, you get to snowboard with tunnels and all that. There are tree runs also. Very few of them. I thought there would have been more. Considering this is like New England and it's wooded. But yeah, there weren't as many as I would have thought. One thing I forgot to check out, and maybe this might prove Killington to be awesome or vindicate Killington as being a great destination, is Bear Mountain. I've heard like they got the ski in, ski out type of resort. That I've never done that, but like, yeah, I've seen that. It'd be awesome. So if I were to do like a 1 to 10 scale, just to simplify things really easily, for Killington, like I said, I do a 6 out of 10. The reason is you got an 8 for the scenes. I think that's amazing considering it's out east. 8 out of 10. The staff are great. You got a lot of staff, a lot of like lifeguards or ski guards or whatever there for first aid. There's a lot of infrastructure for that to take care of people who get hurt and all that. I can see that being the case for people hitting trees or like the moguls, diamonds. There's a lot of steep slopes. At least for like what I'm used to. Yeah. It's definitely, this place will kick your butt if you're not used to it. But overall, like, just getting to this place was like a 4 out of 10, at least. At most, I would say. It's not easy to get to. Also, the fact that they don't have night skiing, that's a real big turnoff for me. What sells it most, as you see, is the scenery, the epic scene. Like, it's like the sunset, like seeing that, man, like how many times do you get to see that? And also, if you saw earlier, the halo effect on the sun, because when it's cold, ice crystals form, and then that creates like a halo effect around the sun. So yeah, I would say that sells itself more than anything. So that's probably like a 9 out of 10. And then the food's fine. Like outside the resort, it's good. It's like 7 out of 10. But like in the resort itself, I'm not really too convinced. But yeah, it's great atmosphere, great people. This Killington really caters to the local region. When I mean the local region, I mean like northeast or the east, mid-Atlantic, east, maybe parts of Canada as well, eastern Canada. But besides that, like people, like all over the world. Yeah, I saw some people from China, but it's like, and Latin America and so on. But like, it's not people who. It's more if you want to go like, it's good to go out west. That's where it brings in that cosmopolitan vibe, I guess, from people from all over the world. Here, it's mostly just like from the east, which makes sense because people like me, for example, are from like the Midwest. We have the option to go out west more easily than people here. So because our area is not, it's not good. It's just flat. So yeah, you spend money on a plane ticket. What are you gonna do? You're gonna fly out east. I mean, no, you're gonna fly out west. That's what you're gonna do instead.
So these are my overall thoughts on Killington. Hope you liked it and it was insightful. And hope you can give a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this coming in the future. Take care. If you're a skier or snowboarder, let me know if you guys are interested in going to this place.